Hello and welcome to the Total Soccer Show. My name is Daryl Grove and I'm joined by a man who has his socks pulled up over his knees. It's Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello. So is that your new favourite thing coming out of the Champions League semi-finals?
I hadn't noticed it before. But Kylian Mbappe has his socks pulled up over his knees.
Mm-hmm. I would say maybe in terms of influence on this game, Dani Alves does as well.
Yeah.
He's the one that we should be focusing on for the soccer alignment.
Well, this is weird, right? Mbappe's taller than Alves, and yet his socks seem more up over his knees than Alves. So does he have longer socks?
Well, I mean, you're saying Mbappe's taller?
Yeah.
I mean, that would make sense, right? Your legs are longer. It's more noticeable. When
Okay.
you've got more of your leg covered.
That's it. It's more noticeable. Not like she covered the entirety of Alves' leg.
If you're just joining us for the first time ever on the Total Soccer Show, I promise we talk about things aside from sock length.
We'll get deeper. Okay, so on today's show, we're going to review Juve's 2-0 away win over AS Monaco in the first leg of the Champions League semi-final. It's a big win. 2 goals from Gonzalo Higuain. He's nearly as good as Cristiano Ronaldo. Later in today's show, Taylor's pulling her face. Later in today's show, we're going to play the MLS salary quiz where Taylor has to guess the salary of various MLS players.
Hooray.
Now we have the information.
It's so easy to understand the way MLS works. What can go wrong?
We're also going to have some TSS scouting reports from the network.
Yes, sir.
Shall we start then with Juve's 2-0 win away to Monaco?
Yep, they were kind enough to make us not have anything to do next Tuesday, similar to Real Madrid making us not have anything to do next Wednesday.
Do you really believe that? Okay, so Madrid, I get it. 3-0 over Atletico. I can't see Atletico coming back from that. We'll DVR it just in case.
Yeah.
This one, only 2 goals. But 2 away goals. That's the key.
2 away goals.
I just realised it as I said it.
Against a team that, again, hasn't conceded in like over 600 minutes and didn't look that likely to concede this evening. Kylian Mbappe did have chances, obviously.
He did.
But it still was a 2-0 loss at home for Monaco. And a fairly resounding one at that.
Should we talk so Mbappe, he did outwit those Juve defenders twice, right? There was one where he managed to see Marchisio was playing him on side and he sort of crept away from Chiellini and Barzagli and Bonucci, got a header at Buffon. And there's one where he got that side-footed volley at Buffon. Both times Buffon was just like, I'm going to take it.
Yeah, well,
right?
I mean,
it looked too easy.
But even then, both times, even that header, it's him sort of still from a decent distance out, and it's kind of like he has to get on the end of it and adjust his run and put the header on frame, which he does, but you're never going to get much power behind that one. Then for the other one you mentioned, it is him kind of, it's in transition,
Mbappe
it's him splitting two defenders, and really, it's from a tight angle. It's always going to be difficult. And I think that's the thing, is that you're going to, if you see those hot takes of, oh, we finally saw him come back to earth, oh, he's maybe not this amazing player, that's a little bit lazy.
Yes, I agree. I would say Juve and Maxi Allegri, excuse me, really out-tacticked Monaco. And Monaco's only weapon seemed to be have Mbappe sort of either be really smart and try and make some space for himself and get the end of a cross, or dribble at Juve, which is kind of what they tried a lot in the second half. And that's too much to put on the shoulders of an 18-year-old French kid, no matter how good he is.
And I would say it's a testament to his ability that you did even have those moments where Juventus looked very calm and steady on the ball and some quick, simple passing and good possession. But you would have those moments where Mbappe would dribble at the defenders. Maybe they would get the ball and they would just boot it clear. Like, we're not even messing around. We don't want this kid near the ball or the goal.
Chiellini kind of panic, right? Or as close as Giorgio Chiellini gets to panicking right at the start of the second half after Mbappe got that low cross in, right?
Yeah.
Am I right in saying panic? He was at least a little off balance when he cleared.
It's just what I mean is I'm not even messing around with this.
Yeah.
We are up 1-0 at this moment. Yeah, the second half has just started.
It was very British. It was very British defending from Dr. Chiellini.
Yeah. And there was the other, as long as we're going to continue to talk about Mbappe, there was the... I guess
we'll get to Juve very soon. Yeah.
But his final good chance, I think, that I remember was still, again, early in the second half before Juventus got their second one. And it was a ball through that he tried to get on the end of, but Gigi was off his line. We're on first-name basis nowadays. Off his line quickly and collected. So even then it was sort of like Buffon read it really well. Defenders kind of marked him, did give him a couple kicks here and there, put him on the ground a couple times. And it seemed like, even though he was still an exciting player, he really couldn't do anything on the day.
Was that the moment when you thought that Buffon gave him the Indiana Jones pat on the head kind of thing?
Yeah, if you remember the beginning of Last Crusade when River Phoenix, R.I.P., I think he's told by the robber, you lost today, but you don't have to like it, and then he puts the fedora on him. There was that moment because Buffon collects that ball, Mbappe runs behind him, then as he's jogging back to take his position, Buffon turns and gives him a fist bump. And it's sort of that not your day, kid, but maybe when I retire.
What was the phrase? You remembered it verbatim because I checked it afterwards.
It was you lost today, kid, but you don't have, but that doesn't mean you have to like it, I believe was more or less what it was.
If I'm Buffon, I wouldn't be saying that until the end of the second leg.
That's what I'm saying, until I retire. There you
go. Maybe next season or the one after.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how Juve managed to sort of weather the Monaco storm? Because we've seen teams already, including Dortmund, sort of unable to play because of the way Monaco sort of block off all your options. I thought Juve, the way they'd go out of that would be to do the long ball from Chiellini or Bonucci to Mandzukic on the left and use his head. They did a little bit of that, especially early on, but they did something even better.
They did, and it was the Karl Rove school of politics, is that you find the strongest point, you attack the strongest point. Because you break that down, then they don't have much left.
So how did Juve do that? I think I understand, but I definitely want to explain. I understand it perfectly. I just want to explain to our listeners. I definitely get it. Don't worry about me.
Essentially, the thing that Monaco do really well is they have those front two. They put pressure on the
two centre backs.
If you're going two centre backs, If you're going to back four, they put pressure on the two centre backs. And then Monaco in that 4-4-2, their wingers push forward onto the fullbacks. Suddenly, you've kind of got a 4v4 situation. You force the team into kicking long.
Yeah.
Now, what a lot of people, yourself included, myself included, thought Juventus might do as a result would kind of play into that and look for the long balls immediately. As you said, they did that sometimes.
It also occurred to me that if that's what you're going to do, then maybe if you don't have the time to take the time to look up and play a beautiful long ball when you're under pressure from, say, Falcao or Mbappe, they could shut that down if that's all Juve had.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, though, is that you could try to adjust to that and be like, all right, never mind, we're just going to hoof it long, and that way they won't be able to put us under pressure and force that turnover. What I think Juventus did instead was change their formation, and they put a back three in. Now you have the three central defenders, you've still got those wing backs, then you've got two more in the middle, or maybe even three at times, and suddenly, if you're Monaco and if you do send those numbers forward, you're still going to be at a disadvantage because there's at least one player, if not two players, free.
Well, there's one spare, yeah.
And so then Monaco, when they're trying to utilize the strongest part of that game, that attacking press, suddenly when you do that, you're falling into what Juventus want you to do.
Yep.
And so Juventus kind of switched that strong point for Monaco into a vulnerability.
So the back three was a big enough change that I think you texted me maybe 15 minutes before I arrived in studio to watch it with you, and I was like, that is a surprise, because I expected 4-2-3-1 Juve. Instead, three at the back. The man who got the call was Barzagli, I believe, comes into the back three.
This is true.
And then you got Dani Alves and Alex Sandro, and was very careful pronouncing his name. It's not all one word. On the right and left wing backs, So Falcao and Mbappe go to mark the two centre-backs. Turns out there's three centre-backs, there's one spare.
Right.
Then if someone else comes to try and block that off, then there's another spare, like maybe Dani Alves is then free on the right, or Alex Sandro is free on the left.
Yeah, and even with that being the case, there were still moments when Monaco seemed like they had shut it down. And strangely enough, one of those was maybe 10 seconds before Juventus score.
So the end result is they had not shut it down.
Exactly.
I guess, yes. Yeah, let's talk us through then. Higuain's first goal.
Sure.
Really great goal. The end result is the Dani Alves back heel into Higuain's path. But how does it all begin, Taylor?
So it begins with, I think it's a throw-in maybe for Juventus. I forget. But regardless, basically Juventus get the ball, they pass it around the back, and you have that Monaco kind of front six push forward. And they're all kind of in the right position. The only one who's maybe a little bit off, maybe a little bit, is Fabinho, who's maybe given Claudio Marchisio like a yard more than he would have liked to.
Yeah.
But even then, he's still under pressure.
He still gets there, right?
And he's still having to move to the ball is Marchisio.
But maybe not enough pressure on Marchisio.
Yeah.
In the end.
I think that combined with the fact that because they've gone to the back three instead of a back four, Dani Alves is going to be a little bit further forward.
Because he's got more room to go forward.
He's now a right wing back. Yeah.
Because Barzagli will be able to be almost in a right back spot. Yeah.
So then that means that Monaco might be a little bit further back than they would be otherwise. And because of that, I think Marchisio doesn't have so much pressure from so many different angles, and that's why he's able to pick his head up, see Dybala running into space, and he plays that perfect ball 30 yards up the field, which Dybala then flicks on for Dani Alves, and away they go.
So, okay, let's start there then, with the Dybala sort of mid-air. It's not a back heel, it's like a mid-air. I think I called it a mid-air Cruyff turn, kind of. He sort of
it might be a mid-air Billy Baldwin. I think that might be what we've done to Billy Baldwin.
Yes, that's it, right. Yeah, when you go the opposite way to the way you're facing with your instep behind your other foot.
And I know we got to the bottom of why we ended up calling it a Billy Baldwin, maybe because it's not as smooth as Alec Baldwin, so we went with Billy instead.
It's not quite as good as a Cruyff turn. This one maybe is, though, because it's mid-air.
But I can't remember why we went from Cruyff to Billy Baldwin.
I don't remember.
We did. But also, much love backdraft. Just saying. Anyway.
Well, maybe that's why, because it's a backdraft.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
I doubt it, but maybe.
Either way, it's a nice move from Dybala. It changes the direction of play in a way that I think no one saw coming. Because it was more like, honestly, when you first see that ball from Marchisio, he's done well to find a bit of space to be able to play it to him, right?
Yep.
But you see Dybala in mid-air and you think, he's going to do well to control that. And he not only controls it, he moves it on.
And I would also say,
Dani Alves.
You say no one saw coming. I would say Dani Alves saw coming because he makes that really smart run and he sets himself up to receive that ball from Dybala. Then he does a good job to ride the kind of shove challenge from Timu Bakayoko.
Yes.
Dani Alves plays the ball to Higuain. Higuain plays it back, and then you have that back heel.
Yes, and we slow-mode this. We slow-mode this many times because if you watch Dani Alves, when he runs to the end line with the ball, he backheels it into Higuain's path. He never turns around and looks.
Not.
And yet, he plays it directly into Higuain's path in stride. I don't think Higuain has to even adjust his stride as he approaches the ball. We could not figure out how did he know until we turned the volume way up on our television.
Well, I think that's part of it. I think there are two components here. The first, as you said, is if you turn that volume up, you can just hear Higuain scream Danny.
Yep.
So I think he is screaming
in
loud enough.
In a slightly hoarse voice, right?
Yeah.
So he's definitely yelling loud.
Oh, yeah. And I think he's letting Dani Alves know he's there. I think Dani Alves can hear that. But I also do think part of that is just the kind of Dani Alves' natural attacking instincts. And we map this as well, right? That if you're Alves, the last time you see Higuain, you know that he is now going to be kind of unmarked because Bakayoko is with him theoretically, but doesn't appear to be tracking him that much and certainly doesn't stick with him. And so if you're Alves and you run to that channel, you know he's unmarked and he's in the middle of the field. Now he's screaming for the ball. I'm just going to backheel it, and maybe it'll be on. But even if it's not, like I'm still backheeling it into chaos in the box. It might lead to something. But I think he knows pretty well that there's going to be somebody there on the end.
I think I made the argument, and I stand by this, that Dani Alves is smart enough and good enough that he can see where Higuain was and then extrapolate from the run where he will be, knowing that Higuain is smart. So then you put the ball between the two centre-backs. Because that ball, if you notice, it's between the left centre-back, right centre-back for Higuain to run onto. I think Alves figures it out. In some ways, soccer players are geniuses with like mathematical equations going on in their heads and then making that work. Right? I'm sure maybe they wouldn't all phrase it that way. Like David Beckham wouldn't put it in mathematical terms, how he crossed.
Probably not.
But there is a version of it, right?
Yeah. Certainly.
Same with Dani Alves here.
And I also want to say, like, it seemed as though Higuain kind of got some stick from different people in the pre-match, and then even like on Twitter, there's a lot of jokes about
Higuain?
Yeah, because Higuain, he failed to get on the end of the Dani Alves cross in the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
That was like, you couldn't tell if he failed to jump or mistimed his jump or didn't have his feet in the right position to jump.
It was all three.
Yeah, and then he tripped when he got one ball from, I think it was Dybala. And so
great work from Dybala.
And so it would be easy, but this is where I think Higuain is actually an amazing striker because he has those moments of like, what are you doing? But he doesn't really let it stick with him. And that you could easily see a striker who has missed two chances and in kind of embarrassing fashion that you fall and then kind of fall again. To then when you've got this kind of ball teed up for you at the box, you're running onto it. It'd be really easy to hit that over or scuff your shot because you're like, I better get it right. And Higuain
you believe in the
quicksand
perfect game, right?
Yeah.
You believe in the sort of
100%.
confidence going down. Yeah, I think maybe Higuain is either the brush that dirt off your shoulder Jay-Z type player, he just gets on with the next one, or he's some sort of sociopath and has no feeling of shame.
Well, or
he can't be he's the Dexter of centre forwards.
Okay, maybe. Don't mind that. He's not quite as clinical as Dexter.
Higuain?
Yeah. But I would say it's more so he's the person who knows not to struggle when you're in the quicksand. That, the best way to deal with it is to just be calm and relaxed and have faith that you will find a way out. That seems to be what he did because he finished that very calmly with a lot of poise. Then he celebrated aggressively.
So if Dani Alves throws you a snake, you grab it.
Why is it got to be a snake?
Because it's an Indiana Jones reference from the fourth film, which I guess we don't want to talk about.
Oh, we're definitely not talking about that. No. Do they get out of quicksand with a snake?
Shia LaBeouf throws him a snake, and they make him grab it,
Oh, that movie. That movie, it's just no good. It's just no good. This is why George Lucas shouldn't be allowed to do anything anymore.
Spielberg directed that.
Did he really?
Yep.
Oh, come on, guys. You're better than this. You are better than this. Let's just move on to happier topics if you're a Juventus fan.
Higuain's better than this. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. And he proved that by getting another goal.
Yeah, so the second goal, I think we could also say is kind of Bakayoko's fault.
Yeah, I think so.
In midfield for Monaco. He is he's under pressure, let's put it that way.
It's one of those sequences where, again, it's really...
Second half, right? This is second half?
Yeah, 59th minute. It's another sequence where it's really easy when you watch the highlight to say... that is terrible from Bakayoko because it's like he's kind of dribbling, he does a couple step overs, and then he's got two players on him, he gets dispossessed, and it's basically from that, Dani Alves pokes it away, Dybala collects, he plays it wide to Dani Alves crosses for Higuain, and it's a goal. But if you go back and watch, again, it's sort of to say, Bakayoko makes a bunch of mistakes. He certainly does, but it does a disservice to Juventus because the pressure they put under him, on him.
They put Lamar under pressure to begin with, right?
Exactly.
And that's why Lamar has to play it back or
and kind of coughs it up,
Yeah, coughs it up, and Bakayoko rescues it. then he's under pressure from Alves and Dybala.
Yeah, but it's also, you could, like, when he does have openings, you can see him, like, turn to his left and realize Dybala's cut that off. So then he cuts to his right and he realizes that pass isn't on.
Yeah,
he
thought
back.
He could find Jamerson, right? But then Dybala's covering that as well, and he's kind of in a box.
Yeah, and basically they do a really good job of screening all of his options so that he kind of is indecisive, and while he's trying to figure something out, Dani Alves just kind of pokes the ball away, and away we go.
Yep. Danny poke.
And then I want to go back to Higuain again, because this goal, again, it's a sign of how smart he is and how aware he is of his abilities, or lack thereof.
Ooh, okay.
Because
please explain.
Dani Alves gets that ball, and I would say Mbappe, for example, who's young and quick, is going to make the run, I think, between those two center backs and kind of towards that near post and look for that driven ball into the near post.
Because he knows he can get there, right? Because I will hear nothing against Mbappe's in the box movement, because I think he's a fox.
Yeah, I think that's a smart.
He's a sly fox.
Because again, things can be two things. That can be the right run if you are a player who can finish at the near post and beat the other players to it and kind of finish from a tight angle. But if you're Gonzalo Higuain, who isn't gonna be that player, he's not gonna be the one to be the speedster to get on the end of that near post cross. You can see it, that he starts to kind of angle that run, and then he drifts wide and starts calling for it at the back post.
Doesn't he point exactly where he's going, like high into the far post?
He sure does.
And
he's basically saying, like, I'll back myself at the back post in an aerial challenge versus an all-out sprint. Yeah, and I think he's right in that regard. And then it's a beautiful ball in from Dani Alves, and it's 2-0.
Oh, so there we go. All right, so we said before that maybe this would be the game where Mbappe, it looks like he the shine would come off of Kylian Mbappe, and people would start talking about, maybe he's not quite ready. We talked about this at the top of the show. I think I'm not going to say that, because I feel like he does the best in a very bad circumstance from a Juve team that has out-tacticked, to quote Sam Allardyce, I think, has out-tacticked Monaco.
You are correct. That is Big Sam. And really, even to go back to the very beginning when we were talking about the kind of Chiellini, quote-unquote, panic clearance.
Yeah.
In the span of 5 seconds, Mbappe settles the ball, gets past Bonucci, cuts it back, then does a step over, then does another little trick, then tries to play it into the box, and nobody can get on the end of it, and then it gets cleared.
Yeah.
But it's just, in that sequence, he really doesn't have any help, but he is able to really cause problems for two, I would say, of the best defenders in Europe.
What about Bakayoko? Because after the last round, you were saying, and the round before that, I believe, who did Monaco beat before they beat Dortmund? Someone impressive.
Man City.
You were talking about how he's going to have a massive price tag this summer. I would say this was a bad game from Bakayoko.
Oh, it certainly was, because I think you could make compelling arguments that he was the main person responsible for both goals, because he doesn't really track Dani Alves, then he definitely doesn't track Gonzalo Higuain for the first one, then he's the one who's dispossessed. And I feel like we both had that, although maybe you won't own it, we'll see.
What's that?
But we both had that moment when you cough the ball up or you do something silly, and your first thought is just like, oh, please don't score from this. Oh, please don't score from this. And even
Taylor, we did that in practice last night.
right?
We had that in practice last night.
That's right.
You were dribbling at me, and we said next goal wins. Right, this is with our whole team that we coach. I tackled you. I was really confident that I tackled you, so I got my foot to the ball popped up. I was like, all right, it's going to be good. I'm going to go on and score the winner here. People will carry me around on their shoulders. Instead, the ball bounces back to you. You beat Drew in goal, and the ball rolls in. And I think I screamed, "Not like this, not like this."
That is exactly what happened.
So yeah, I do know what that feels like. At a lower level than Champions League semi-final, but yes.
But just you always want to be able to say, like, well, maybe he should have marked that guy, or like you always want that extra little incident so then it's not 100% your fault. Yeah, and I think for the second one especially, Bakayoko was sort of like, I got no one to blame for that one but myself. I would say that said, you still saw those signs of what he does bring, the strength in midfield, the ability to kind of shut down options, to track really well, and to be just a physical presence there. I think it doesn't help that he was playing with a broken nose and a giant face mask.
I was going to say, do we give him a bit of a pass for the face mask?
I mean, sure. I think it's not going to impact or change the fact that most of that starting 11 at least is going to be the subject of very lucrative transfer bids this summer, and I expect him to still be one of those players.
I guess one more tactical thing as well with that weird sort of 3-4-2-1 or 3-4-3 that Juve were playing. You get the two centre midfielders in Marchisio and Pjanic. Marchisio replacing the suspended Khedira, but I think Dybala was also maybe a bit more part of the midfield as well. So you kind of outnumber Monaco in midfield the way that Juve played.
Indeed. And thank you for remembering that Khedira was suspended, because I know we talked about it in the preview, but also I think that's why you have that shift to the back three, because you don't have Khedira doing that defensive job in front of the two center backs. So then you just bring in a third center back to kind of balance that out a little
that's
bit.
Interesting.
I think that's also a key component there.
All right, so we'll DVR the game next week, and we'll watch it if there's a comeback, but it looks like we're looking at a Juve Real Madrid Champions League final, and I got to tell you, I'm okay with that.
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be a very, very exciting final, if that is what happens.
Yeah, we won't. We're knock on wood. No, because it's not our team.
We don't care. Yeah.
We'll see what happens next week.
Basically, I just don't want to look a fool when we say, like, oh, it's definitely over. And then somehow Atletico and Monaco both manage to come back. That would be strange.
Before we move on, we should let you know today's show is sponsored by Roughneck Scarves. Roughneck Scarves, the official providers of scarves for US Soccer, Major League Soccer, USL, and NCAA. And you can make custom scarves.
That you can.
So the question we put out on Twitter was, Gigi Buffon is now unbeaten in 621 minutes
I
of
believe
Champions
that is the
League
number. Checks his notepad.
football.
Yes, that is correct.
If you were to design a celebratory Gigi Buffon scarf, as you always should, everyone should do this every day.
Yeah.
What would you put on that scarf if you had it made by Roughneck Scarves?
Sure. At I'm Not Dabo says nothing. Pure white. One might say it would be reminiscent of a clean sheet.
Very nice.
That is very nice. Just a white scarf.
Francisco Zentino says, one side it should have the lyrics of the Italian national anthem, and on the other side it should have an old lady holding hands with Buffon.
It's a bit on the nose.
Can I assume Francisco Zentino has Italian heritage?
Yeah, sure, why not? I think that's a safe bet. All I'm trying to do is right now is struggle with, or like, hold down my desire to sing the Italian national anthem.
Hey, don't let me hold you back.
It's a lot of lyrics to put on a scarf, though.
It is.
Say. Yeah.
Maybe just the notes for the tune.
Sure.
Give me the tune at least.
Oh, it varies, and it speeds up and it slows down. I'm not playing into your game. There you go.
Italia.
I think you've gone a different way with it.
Okay, we also had one from Jose Cordova.
Yep.
Says Buffon on one side against checkered black and white background, and this GIF on the other using the patented Roughneck Scarves GIF fabric technology.
Yep.
And the GIF would be Gandalf, you shall not pass.
That one seems very good.
Small disclaimer, that's not an actual patented technology. That's just a thing that we've invented.
Thank you for that. Well, they could still do like...
I don't want people to do Roughneck Scarves ordered and say, can you put this GIF on it?
I think they could do like individual stills from it, and then if you like move the scarf up and down, it moves. That could work, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, perfect.
I'm going to email Jeff at Roughneck Scarves.
Well, before you do that, we've got a few more nominees. John Adams says not that one. Just a bunch of blank pieces of paper, hashtag clean sheets. Also works if it's him just putting a bedding set into a laundry machine, hashtag also clean sheets.
Nice, John. Ken Mack says, Roughneck snoods? Question mark.
Is that because Buffon still likes a snood when he warms up? Is that the joke there?
So for people who don't remember, this is a thing from a while back in the Premier League with Carlos Tevez. He would wear a snood, which is half scarf, half hoodie. Isn't that the deal? I have a snood now for when I go biking. You just wear that around your neck to keep your neck warm. Roughneck snoods.
I think it was, and there was Balotelli who got in trouble for it, I think. I forget who it was who got fined for wearing a snood.
Okay.
But who knows? I don't know. It's a whole big thing. El Conejito says Buffon's face in a brick wall. Yep.
That's a
good,
good,
one definitely
simple
fits.
image. And Pepe Sylvia at J. Stoley says, a black and white gargoyle. Why is that funny?
Pepe Sylvia?
From Always Sunny.
Yep.
Pepe Sylvia.
Yep.
That's the mailroom episode, right?
It is. And the prevailing theory is that he keeps seeing Pepe Sylvia everywhere because Charlie can't read, and he's reading Pennsylvania. Same way Carol in HR is care of HR.
I want to also say, I'm very sure I can't remember the name, but somebody sent us the video of somebody on the drums doing a drumming to all of the Charlie and Mac dialogue in the Pepe Sylvia episode. If you haven't seen this, I'll forward it to you.
It's very, very good. Yep.
Thank you to the person that sent us that.
Now, anyway, final one from Pepe Sylvia.
Pepe Sylvia, who really is J_Stoley, says, black and white gargoyles, they're the gatekeepers. So that's on the scarf. And on the other side, every single trophy Buffon's ever won, plus an open spot for the Champions League.
So that could be a little bit of shade, but that maybe could also be Pepe Sylvia endorsing, or Jay Stoley endorsing the idea of Buffon maybe is going to get his Champions League this time around.
I think with you on Buffon winning the Champions League.
Yep.
Which, again, I cannot believe that that's a thing, that Buffon hasn't won the Champions League.
Yep.
Maybe
he's too busy winning Serie B.
So if you would like to buy a Roughneck scarf, any Roughneck scarf in the roughneckscarves.com shop, or design your own, you get 20% off using the coupon TOTALSOCCERSHOW, all one word. We think it's all uppercase, but I think both work. So 20% off any order at roughneckscarves.com. The link is where, Taylor? Where would people find this link?
I believe you can go to TOTALSOCCERSHOW.com. Would that be one way to do it?
In the show notes.
And also in the show notes.
The link is in the show notes to this episode.
I'm going to make you say it every time. I will never be the one to say in the show notes.
I'm going to try and make you say it. It's going to be like the yes-no game.
That's right. Yes? No?
You just lost. Before we move on to the Scouting Network, MLS salaries were dropped. I think last week. It's taken us a little while to get around to this. So the MLS Players Union releases a list of every MLS player's salary. And I believe it was initially done to sort of put pressure on the league, because this is when players were earning far, far less than they are now. It's still not like NFL levels, of course. So I've got a quiz for you based on...
No, it's not, where the salary cap is... At least it's like it was $53 million many years ago, so I'm sure it's way higher nowadays. Yeah.
So I have everybody's salary. I've printed off a few here that I'm going to ask you about, and I'm just going to give you some like little starter clues, just so you know the rough boundaries, right?
Yep.
So the minimum salary for a senior player is around $63,000.
Okay.
Dollars. Excuse me. Dollars.
63 or 53?
63 now.
Cool.
Sorry, yeah, I looked at it. I think 53 if you're like a junior player, but for a senior player, $63,000.
Okay.
The designated player cutoff is around 400 and something thousand. I want to say 480,000. Sorry, I'm giving you rough numbers here. Homegrown players don't count against the salary cap, and we can go on and on and on. We will do a terminology show where we get into the details of Major League Soccer.
By the way, I've just checked it. I believe the salary cap is around $160 million a team. I could be wrong.
In the NFL?
I think so.
Wow. Okay, so yeah, it's considerably less.
That's terrifying.
In MLS.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I've got a quick quiz for you. Okay, so base salary, what does Andrew Carlton get paid at Atlanta United? Bear in mind, he's a 16-year-old, but he's a homegrown player. So how much are they paying Andrew Carlton?
So thank you for that. But that's where I was leaning anyway, because I think maybe he's what player who like we have these big ideas of, and so we have this idea that, he must be getting paid lots and lots of money. But yeah, he's 16. He's not actually playing for them.
He's spending more time with the U17.
I'm going to say it's probably closer to the low end of like $60,000 to $65,000 a year.
Give me a number.
$65,000 a year.
It's exactly $65,000.
What?
Yes. All right. So first of all, well done. That's excellent. Good job.
That's the only one I'm getting right.
I wanted to give a preamble to this, that this is hard. Right? We've done this in the past. It's really hard to guess an MLS player's salary. So don't be disappointed if this is the only one Taylor
Can we end right now?
I'll give you this as well. He earns $4 less per year than a Gucci Onyewu. Gucci Onyewu is only on $65,004 at the Philadelphia Union. Because I think Philly rolled the dice on Gucci's injuries.
I feel like that's sad, and I'm not sure for which player.
I think Gucci's probably fine financially.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I'm sure
it's
he's
more
doing
like almost
okay.
playing for free just to play some soccer.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Okay. Kellen Acosta. This is an interesting one. Also a homegrown player at FC Dallas, but he's been around a few years now, so he's not getting that starter homegrown player money. He's getting sort of, some additions, and his contract has grown over the years. How much does Kellen Acosta, TSS Fave, make per year base salary?
See, and the other thing that I should have thought about with this is how far into their contract they are. Because I'm going to say he's still pretty young. He's still probably on an early contract. So before he gets a big bump, I'm going to say it's closer to like $225,000.
$260.
Oh,
okay. I'm going to give you the thumbs up on that.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Give you a DP now. An actual designated player.
Oh boy.
Cubo Torres at Houston. How much is Cubo Torres getting paid? He's a DP.
He's a DP, but I feel like it's still Houston, and I feel like that's not necessarily.
He's throwing shade at Houston.
No, it's just more like they're not known lately to be like, let's sign. Yeah. So right. Even with their DPs, I feel like it's going to be closer to like the $1,000,000 to $800,000. So I'm going to say $850,000.
$650.
Kubo
Torres getting $650,000. So I'm not giving you the point for that one, but I'm going to say you're doing well.
All right,
I think
you're
doing well.
Thank
okay,
you.
Let's go with.
See how quickly I can ruin that.
Okay, let's go with another guy who is not a DP, but is earning above the DP threshold because they're using allocation money to pay it down. Portland Timbers, Darlington Nagbe. How much is Darlington Nagbe's base salary at Portland Timbers?
Okay, and so to clarify, you said the salary, like the cutoff for a DP is what, like around $450 to $480, something in there?
Yeah, so someone will know the exact number. It's about $480.
But then, so this would be basically before he's paid down, what is his salary?
No, what is his total salary that he gets?
Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying.
I'm essentially telling you it's over the DP limit, but he's not a DP.
Right. I'm going to say it's $550,000.
It's $550,000?
What? No, it's not.
Can you see through my page?
No, but I'm...
Come on.
I'm very pleased.
Oh, wow.
Well, I feel like that's right within the realm of like... $75,000 to $100,000 is what they can kind of pay down with that TAM.
Yeah,
and so it makes sense, right?
I've got to say I'm impressed. All right, let's go to Mixed Discarood. Officially, Mixed Discarood was on the NYCFC roster this year. The number I'm looking at, I'm assuming this is what they would have paid him for the full year. How much is Mixed Discarood listed at?
Is he still in that same category of a player who would be a DP?
He would be a DP, but he's not.
First of all, That's ridiculous still. And I know this is like well-trod ground, but I don't understand how he makes that much money. And that's insane because I would have said like 200,000 if you hadn't had that clarification.
Is that because your opinion has gone down?
I'm going back to Kubo Torres style. I'm going to say like 800,000.
772.
Not
bad.
All right.
Bad.
I'll take that.
Not bad.
I mean, I'll take that in the sense that I feel like I'm marginally close. I cannot believe that he gets paid that much money.
How many more of these do you want to do? Like, are we testing our listeners' patience, or do you think we got
probably testing our? Let's do one more.
One more. Okay. Let's go with Jordan Morris. Homegrown player, signed in 2016. I think it was the biggest initial homegrown player contract that had ever been offered, but there's nothing official. What's his number for 2017?
Here's the thing. Now I'm playing this game against you. And I feel like there's a reason, because I know how I would do this if I were you.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a trick one, because it seems like he should get way more money.
Taylor, I'm your buddy. I'm not here to trick you.
Lie. He gets... What was Kellen Acosta?
Kellen Acosta makes this year 260. Yeah.
Jordan Morris
base salary
250.
Jordan Morris is 225.
Oh.
Not bad. Not bad. 225. All right, I want to ask you one more.
Yeah.
Because this is a guy you sort of mentioned as I wonder what he makes.
Oh, no.
Will Bruin at Seattle Sounders. What does Will Bruin make?
See, okay, and this is another one.
And I genuinely only looked this up because you mentioned him, and I thought, that's an interesting one because he's been around a while, but he's also not a big star.
But that is an issue there, right? Aren't there veteran minimums?
Not exactly, but in most contracts, they grow over time, right?
I'm going to say 114,000.
325.
Okay, I was way off on that one.
That's a lot of Will Bruin dollars, right?
It is.
Bruin bucks.
Yeah.
You can spend them anywhere.
Yeah, and I guess because, he was really well paid at Houston. He might have even been a DP at Houston, and then he got moved on. Whoops.
All right.
Whoops-a-daisy.
I'll put a link to the entire salary list in the show notes, just in case anyone hasn't seen it. Where will they be, Taylor?
The link will be in the website, TotalSoccerShow.com/links. That's not a thing. They'll be in the show notes.
Yes! So I won that game, but you definitely won.
I feel like you kept going until I missed one by a lot.
You definitely won that game because that game is hard.
Yeah.
I want to say a huge congratulations to you. Seriously,
well, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that, my friend.
And congratulations to anyone at home who guessed correctly as well. But you can never prove it.
Yeah.
Final thing on today's show.
I feel like everyone always guesses better at home. I'm going to throw that one out there.
After they've heard the whole thing.
Yeah, same thing. Same goes for the Wikipedia game.
So we have 4 scouting reports from the Total Soccer Show Scouting Network. It's the second best scouting network after AS Monaco's. So
I think maybe Sevilla and now Roma might like a word with you, but yeah, I take your point. Yeah, and we've got 4 reports for you, and not necessarily a scouting report, but a mention of Mix Discarud that comes up later. But first, we've got a report from Mason Kriz, scouting Marco Farfan, the 18-year-old American defender for Portland Timbers.
All right,
Farfan,
future US left back,
maybe. Although I think maybe. That's a sign that you have not yet read this report because you're basing that on the last one where he was tearing it up.
I feel like you can't prove that.
Farfan started several matches for the Timbers senior team in March and April, but now that Vitas has returned from injury, he has either been on the bench or playing for Portland Timbers 2 in the USL. Mason concluded in his email that Timbers 2 have only won 1 game this season.
T2? Call them by their name. T2. Okay. That's their official marketing name.
T2 it is.
Judgment
T2
Day.
have only won 1 game this season, which means they might be... have Judgment Day impending? Who knows? And Mason is not sure how much playing for them will help Farfan develop.
He needs another Vitas injury, right?
Wow, that's harsh.
I'm just saying. Just saying.
T1000 to come in, do some work. Vitas is out.
If anyone runs a Ukrainian restaurant in Portland, just saying, you have opportunities. All right. Up next, Olaf Danelius is scouting.
Did you just advocate murder for hire on our podcast?
Oh no, it was temporary poisoning. I was talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking food poisoning is what I was talking about.
I thought we were doing a little Jeff Galooly, Tanya Harding situation here. I was a little concerned.
It's like a strangers on a train thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey listeners, Daryl here, breaking in with a quick correction. I looked it up, just realised Vitas is Lithuanian, not Ukrainian. Yes, I know, I'm sorry. Vitas is Lithuanian, not Ukrainian. Olaf Danelius is scouting Erdal Rakip, the 21-year-old Swedish midfielder for Malmo. Olaf says, Rakip and his Malmo have started the season well and are currently top of the Allsvenskan after 6 games.
Thank you. Good pronunciation.
Good job. He has been getting consistent starts either as a number 10 in a 3-5-2 or out wide in a 4-4-2. Meanwhile, Mix Discarud has played all 6 games for IFK Göteborg, who are 12th in the 16-team table.
That's right. I think they're 2 points above a relegation playoff right now, but only 6 games in. We'll we'll see how it goes.
Mix. I still want the best for Mix. Get it back, Mix.
So does Mix.
Get it back.
Maybe NYCFC does too, so they get him off the books. Jonathan Holmgren emailed in scouting Alex Iwobi, 21-year-old Nigerian attacker for Arsenal. He actually emailed in last week, so I apologize for the delay, Jonathan. Iwobi has not been getting many minutes for Arsenal of late. That has not yet changed, which Jonathan says he assumes is because of Arsenal's poor run of form. So instead, I'm going to add, let's just wish him a happy birthday because Alex Iwobi turned 21 today.
Today? Mm-hmm. All right.
Yep.
Did George wish him a happy birthday on this morning's goal, man?
I do not believe he did.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh, no.
George hates birthdays.
Or Alex Iwobi.
Also that.
Final report today comes from Zachary Lindquist, scouting Jackson Ewell, the 20-year-old American midfielder for San Jose. Jackson Ewell we're really excited about. American, right? Ewell started for Reno 1868 in their first 4 USL games. That's San Jose's USL affiliate, I assume. But has since been on the bench for San Jose, who are struggling on offense. So he's been promoted to MLS. That's a good step, but no MLS minutes yet.
Not yet. But that is definitely still a good sign, right? That if you're doing okay in USL and then you're the MLS team is struggling, that you get brought back up, that means that they have an idea that maybe you could help.
If you play, it's better,
possibly.
Right? But I do look forward to a San Jose that has Tommy Thompson and Jackson Ewell. That's a team I would watch on the regular.
Yeah, they've
just
got
for US national team interest.
That they do, my friend.
Can you guess how much Tommy Thompson makes?
Probably,
that was on my list.
Too much and not enough at the same time.
Yeah, right. That's the exact reaction I had.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what it is?
No. Oh, yes, I do, but I don't want to guess.
Okay, 150,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Too much and not enough?
Yeah, that's Will Brown money right there, according to me.
Thank you to Mason, to Olaf, to Jonathan, and to Zachary for the scouting report. If you would like to join the TSS Scouting Network, the link is where, Taylor?
In the show notes?
It's not. It will be, I guess. It will be now. You've committed me to it. The link is TotalSoccerShow.com/subscribe.
I didn't realize that's how it works.
I will put it in the show notes.
You're going to constantly say that stuff is in the show notes. You did that once and you immediately regretted it, didn't you? Didn't you say like 8 things would be in the show notes?
We did an MLS sort of highlights roundup, and we talked about a load of highlights that we'd seen, and I ended up putting about 10 video links.
And I remember being like, are you sure you want to do this? And you're like, it'll be fine. It's not that much work. And I think the next day you're like, I'm never doing that again.
My fingers still hurt. Speaking of the next day, Taylor, we'll be back tomorrow to talk more soccer.
Yep.
We'll probably be talking about the US under-17s. They beat Honduras 3-0. I know Josh Sargent got 2 goals. That's all I know, which means he is still on course as my favourite TSS Scouting Network player. Right. He's on course to join Manchester City and supplant Gabriel Jesus.
And Yolo's feelings are hurt since he also managed to get on the score sheet, but, that's fine. That's fine, Daryl.
Okay, but he's still my fave. Still my fave. Okay, that is all from us here at TSS today. We'll be back tomorrow, and we look forward to talking to you.